prepared, but got some notes. Just a little background on me. I've been a PEM or Program Engineering Manager for about 2 years. Before that, I was a chassis system engineer on Corvette for I don't know, about 10 years, and then I was a suspension design release engineer on Corvette. Started in 2007 on the Corvette, so I've been around the team for a while. I've been to numerous Carlisle events, and it's nice to see a bunch of people I see. It seems like on an annual basis. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming, and go easy on me. So I'll give you a little just general information on the 25 Corvette, and not specific on the ZR1, but we've got 3 new exterior colors this year. We've got the Hysteria, which is otherwise known as purple. There's a car here in that color. There is a new yellow. Yes, yep, there's a new yellow, which is quite obvious. It's right here in front of us. So we're back to more of the traditional, our racing yellow. We call it competition yellow. And then there's Sebring orange, which is a kind of a return. It's replacing Amplify orange. It goes back to the original orange we launched the C8 with. We changed the caliper colors for yellow to match the exterior colors, so we've done that right. We've added competition yellow to the calipers, and then we're adding a habanero orange interior as well. So depending on your taste, if you like orange interiors that look spectacular with a white car, a black car, an orange car. We changed the spoiler on the Stingray, so there's it's the same RPO, it's T0A. There's a car here in the back that's got that new rear spoiler. It's actually a wing, more of a real wing now than a spoiler. And it comes painted, the airfoil is painted, and the stanchions are carbon flash. And then on the Z06, there's a Z06 here with the new wheels. There's depending on how you count spokes, there's a 5-spoke or a 10-spoke if you count the split spokes in each individual spoke. New wheel design that comes in 4 different finishes. There's a gloss black one here, but there's multiple finishes available. So that's there's not a whole bunch new for 25 other than what I just mentioned and the cars that kind of are in front of us right here, which are the ZR1. So obviously that's our big news for 25. To go through a little bit of performance details. So in a quarter mile, the cars comes in sub 10 seconds in a quarter mile, and at about 150 miles an hour. So it's by far the fastest car on the drag strip of any Corvette we've ever released. Another interesting fact is it'll do like 80 to 200 and then back to 80 in about 25 seconds. So not many cars can get to 200, let alone do it that quickly, accelerate that quickly, and then have the brakes to decelerate like the Corvette does. We're bringing back the split window, so you can tell on both of these cars. So obviously, most of you know the 63 was a very iconic year for the Corvette, the first of the C2s with a split window. Brought that back. We've added, to help with the rear vision though, we were smart this time, we added some louvers to it so you can actually see through it. And on top of that, it actually helps with engine cooling, so it helps add chimney surface area to extract heat out of the rear glass, much like the vents on either side. There's no frunk in the car, so if you notice, that is kind of one sacrifice you're going to have to make to have all that power. And when I say power, we're talking 1,064 horsepower at 7,000 RPM. Red line's $8,000, so it was pretty. And so Dustin Gardner was up here earlier. So if you have any really tough engine questions, find us and he can answer them. And 828 foot-pounds of torque, and it's a very flat torque curve. So it's not peaky at all. It's relatively flat from like $3,000 all the way out to red line. So and I've driven a few ZR1s, and you can definitely feel. You can imagine it's probably easy to feel the additional 400 horsepower that you have over an LT6 with this LT7 engine. It's all there, and you can hear the turbo spool up, and it really hits you in the pants. You can feel all that power. To cool that, we've removed the frunk, and we've added what we call a fruct. So you have to be very careful when you say fruct, but that's what we call it, and it's an outlet actually for air going through two radiators that are stacked on top of each other. The first radiator is the cooler for the CACs, or the charge air coolers in the rear of the car. So you've got twin turbos on the engine, and you've got to cool you're cooling the charge with those CACs. We actually have to cool the CACs, so we've sent coolant through a electric pump that's mounted on the front of the car, and it sends coolant from the front radiator, that's the center front one, that's specific for turbocharger cooling or CAC cooling, sends it back to the CACs, and that cools the charge that feeds the engine. So the radiator behind that is an additional supplemental radiator for the engine cooling. So, and it's quite a bit larger than the center radiator that's on the Z06 or the E-Ray. If you look closely at the front, you'll also notice that there's a gurney, hood gurney, and on this car, it's what we call the tall hood gurney. It's carbon fiber. That hood gurney also helps create like a low pressure zone that pulls air through the front. It helps not only pull more air through it, but it also helps with front downforce and helps overall from an aero perspective on the car to get air through the front of the car and on top of the car for downforce. Just kind of going front to rear, we've got new carbon fiber wheels available and new aluminum wheels. So if you want to tell the difference between the carbon fiber wheels and aluminum wheels, the ones on the driver's side of the rolling chassis are what we call internally the CF2. CF1 wheels, carbon fiber 1 wheels, are the ones that are on the Z06 and the E-Ray. These are new for a couple of reasons. One is the bolt circle on the rear of the ZR1 is actually larger. It's larger because of the additional loads this car has to handle, both the downforce and the extra mass and loads created by this car on track. So we've had to go to a larger bolt circle. And then it's a unique style. So these are really the first wheels where our design studio and our engineers and Carbon Revolution, who supplies the wheel, those three entities got together and did an engineering and styling exercise to really make a unique looking carbon fiber wheel. So it's a split spoke design. It's meant so that you can see the brakes clearly, and there's different weave patterns on the wheel that kind of make it unique. So we're really proud of these wheels. If you look on the other side of the car, it's got new aluminum wheels, and those same wheels are on, same design wheels are on the full black ZR1 coupe over here. Multiple finishes available. In fact, this black car is this blue finish, which I think looks pretty cool. Kind of a bold statement. When I heard we were doing a blue wheel, I was like, oh, okay. But then when I saw it for the first time, it's quite striking, pretty cool. There's new brakes on the ZR1. These are what we call J58 brakes. So everybody that I guess is familiar with maybe the last couple of generations of Corvette, J57 has always meant carbon ceramic brakes. These are one better. They're J58s. So that was kind of a joke, but they are a little bit better brakes. They're slightly larger. They've got a unique rotor design to them. There's a chopped fiber design that's used in the J57 rotors. These are a strand carbon ceramic design, so not chopped fibers, but actually strands of carbon fiber. And then there's a special baking process and a special coating that's done to them and that coating is very good for heat extraction and wear. So these have very good wear capability. When you have all the additional power that the ZR1 has, these have great wear for the brake pads and their unique brake pad material as well. So going rearward on the car, there's a unique inlet on the quarter panel. And interesting story here, I don't know if this has been mentioned, so maybe I'm letting the cat out of the bag a little, but we did not have a unique quarter panel for this car originally. And as we were developing the car, our brake team said this car needs more rear brake cooling. Between the engineers, the brake engineers, our aero engineers, and our design studio, we came up with this brake scoop that is in the right area for high flow, ram air flow into our brake cooling. It's in a great position on the car, and studio was able to make it look extremely attractive on the side of the car and differentiate it from our other wide bodies. And then we made the what we call the boomerang in carbon fiber only. So all ZR1s will have carbon fiber in that area. We also, while we were doing our aero development on this car and our powertrain cooling and our overall CFD work, noted that there was a location on the top of the hatch where you could get a cool air charge. And we never took advantage of that on the other variants of the car. And we decided to add a cool air inlet on the hatch. So on the coupe, which the coupe architecture allows us to put it there, the convertible, we looked, but there's no way to do it with the convertible mechanism. So the convertible draws intake air from the same location as the other Corvettes from the large side scoop. On the coupe, it draws it from the top. And it's a cooler charge, and it's a ram air flow that goes, and it directly feeds the internal body ducting that then goes into the air cleaner. From the air cleaner, that air goes into the turbo compressor, and from the turbo compressor up through the CAC, which I mentioned earlier, and feeds the engine. The rear wing, which is we call it the big ass wing. It's also known as the Tom wing, TOM, and I guess a story behind why it's called the Tom wing. Some of you guys may know Tom Toft, who's been at events in the past. He used to be our body system engineer. He had the opportunity to pick the RPOs when we developed the C8. So he was able to use his name as the rear wing Tom wing, and then his last name T0F TOF was used on the Z06. So every time we talk about the ZR1, Tom comes up. So the Tom wing, it along with the rest of the aero parts on the car produces about 1,200 pounds of downforce at top speed. And there's additional structure that we needed when we added that wing to the car. First of all, and the other thing I should mention is all the wings are carbon fiber. They're all exposed carbon fiber. They're made in Italy, and there's a structure underneath the wing. We reinforced the structure that's on the Z06. The brackets that are on there, we had to go to high strength steel. We changed the design of the pencil brace that supports the wing, and there's been a lot of work to make sure that the structure underneath that wing is stiff enough so that wing doesn't deflect at high speeds and lose its downforce capability. Getting back to a little bit more detail on the engine, which maybe this will be redundant for those of you that listen to Dustin's presentation, but it's got unique pistons, unique connecting rods. The connecting rods are stronger. The pistons are unique because of it. This LT7 actually has a reduced compression ratio from the LT6. The LT6 is like 12.5 to 1. LT7, because it's turbocharged, you go to a reduced compression ratio, but the turbo's making up for it by pressurizing the combustion chamber. It's got a unique cylinder head. The engine block casting is common. There's an additional port fuel injection system on this, so this not only is direct inject fuel, but it also has port fuel injection, and those two are used They're kind of together depending on the load condition of the engine. Obviously, when you have 1,064 horsepower, you need as much fuel as you can possibly get. And so the combination of port fuel injection and direct fuel injection gives you, depending on the like as Dustin was mentioning earlier, in an idle state, we're actually using the PFI, port fuel injection system, as opposed to the DI. And then under regular driving conditions, both are active. The turbos themselves are quite large. They're 76 millimeter monoscroll compressor wheels, and then the turbines are 67 millimeters that are connected to the compressor side. We can go with such a big set of turbos that gives us like 20 psi of boost, nearly 20 psi of boost. We're able to do that without any significant turbo lag at all because of the technology that our powertrain team has built into the wastegate. We've got electronic wastegates, so we are able to keep the wastegates closed when we know the car can sense when the driver's gonna hot dog the car a little bit. If you get into it at all, it goes into a mode where the wastegates are held closed even when you're not on the throttle. After you've been in it, you pull out of it, the wastegates stay closed and keep that pressure in the intake and then when you get back into it, you've already pressurized and you don't need to wait for the turbos to spool up. There's also some things done with cam timing that I will let Dustin get into because I am not a professor that he is when it comes to the engine technology. But so if you have any questions, you should talk to Dustin about that. The intake manifold is a true split design on this as well. There's no sharing between the left-hand and right-hand banks. And the volume is greatly reduced because you don't need the volume when you're actually trying to build all that pressure. You want to reduce the volume. Unlike on the LT6, we wanted that additional volume so we could tune it for the naturally aspirated performance with the tuning valves that were between the banks. And then I guess we'll get to the best part of the car that I engineered originally way back, not on this car, but on a couple of generations ago, the suspension. So I get a lot of questions, maybe just because of my background here on the suspension. This car comes in two different variants. You can get an FE8 or an FEJ suspension. The FE8 comes on, that's kind of the standard ZR1 suspension. Its stiffness, its ride frequencies are a little bit lower than an FE6 Z06, so a standard Z06. That was done on purpose because ZR1 has always been known as kind of a grand touring. It's a grand touring car, although it's obviously a quite powerful grand touring car. It was meant to be a comfortable grand touring car, so we put the spring rates and the ride frequencies down as compared to the FE6 just a little bit. That package, when you get the standard ZR1, comes with summer tires. The summer tires are very similar to the tires that are on the current Z06 and E-Ray with the ZER package. There's a little bit of a difference. We've actually had to change the tire design to take the additional loads and power of the ZR1. So there's a little bit of a difference in the tires, but it's not very visual. And then when you opt up for the ZTK package or the FEJ, and the ZTK is kind of like what it's been in past generations of ZR1, where you get the high wing standard. So you get the high wing, you get the high hood gurney, you get lower strakes and some other aero bits, as well as cup tires. That ride frequency of the suspension goes up. The car rides a lot stiffer, but it is set up more for the track, and it's similar to like the Z07 package on the Z06. You can also, I guess I'll mention, because I get a lot of questions on this as well, if you want to get a ZR1 without cup tires, you can still get all these big aero bits. If you just order the TOM wing, the TOM RPO will drive the tall hood gurney, the strakes, and you can get all the big aero bits without having to sacrifice and get the cup tires. Your ride frequency will go down a little though, so the car will ride a little bit smoother, won't be set up as well for the track, but still very track capable. In fact, I guess my last point will be we're currently in the process of running the ZR1 on the 24-hour test right now. We're about halfway through getting through our 24-hour validation. And that's, we do dyno tests, multiple dyno tests to do the same things on the engine, but then we take the whole vehicle and we take it out on our Milford Road course and then take it to different tracks throughout the country and accumulate 24 hours plus of track miles to validate the car. And it's a torturous test, but we'll learn a lot and make design changes as we go. If we find anything, we make sure we change it so that for the customer it's robust for track use. That's all I got, but I'll take any questions. We do not, but we do understand that our customers will do that, and I would say that first of all, the Cup 2 tire is quite capable. It's not a slick, but it is a quite capable tire. But and that's part of the reason why we put so many miles and so much time on the car is because the loads themselves are, from a fatigue perspective, you can build up the same fatigue life with a car with tires like this on it. It might take longer than running a slick, but we're essentially validating for higher load capable tires because we put so many miles on the car with the Cup tires. Although we don't suggest you put slicks on your Corvette, but that's. No, as you guys would probably know, that we believe the demand will be high for this car, just like it has been on all the C8 variants that have come out. But we're doing our best to make sure our suppliers and our assembly plant are prepared and ready to build these in as high a volume as they possibly can. One more time? Yeah. I don't know the part number. The wing it's a TOM wing. TOM, like Tom, like the Tom. Yep. What is that carbon fiber wheel? I don't know off the top of my head. I believe we were saving about 60 pounds. Trying to remember the exact. On the Z06, there was a huge massive. It's similar to what it is between the aluminum wheels on this and the carbon fiber wheels. I'll have to get back to you. I know I've got that number written down somewhere. I don't remember exactly what it is. Yes, sir. So we're saying sometime in calendar year 25.
The base price on this. There we go.
Yeah. I knew someone would ask. We can't say base price yet. I'm not sure they've even finalized that yet. If there's been a lot of discussion on it, but we don't have plans for limited production. The only limit is we have expectations for what the volumes would be, and we're trying to tool up our supply base in order to meet those demands. But we also have lots of orders for Z06s and E-Rays and Stingrays that we need to fulfill. So it'll all bake in, and our plant will continue to run at 2 shifts. That's the plan to try and keep up with demand. Yes, sir.
But the rear wheels have a larger.
Yes. No. So we just did it on the rear. We actually that was back when I worked in the chassis organization. We had lots of colorful discussions with Taj and company on doing that because it was a little bit of a mass ad to do that. But we didn't do it on all 4 corners. We just did it on the rear. That's where the loads on the rear of this car are much higher than any Corvette in the past. Just obviously partially due to the fact that mostly due to the fact that the engine, the whole powertrain is back there. So in the weight distribution on this car, so much more rear laden. We found out we had to do that on the ZR1. No, wheel studs are the same. M14s. Yes. Yeah. Oh, dang. Good question. Forgot to mention that. So, in fact, that's a big one. I forgot. The carbon fiber. There's carbon fiber roof standard on the coupe. So the current carbon fiber roof, Targa roof, is standard on the ZR1. The panel behind that will be carbon fiber as well. That panel is available on through our accessories right now. It'll be carbon fiber standard on the coupe. And then the convertible will have a full carbon fiber convertible roof as well. The lack. It's hard to say. Yeah, it's just it's hard to say. In some conditions, it may not make as big of a difference. You know, in cool enough conditions, it's maybe not as big of a difference. In warmer conditions, you want that cooler charge, so it will make a bigger difference. But I'd say there's just a hair. I can't give you a number. I wouldn't. If you're debating between a convertible and a coupe, and the only reason you want the coupe is because you want a little bit more performance, just due to those ducts, but you really wish you could get a convertible, get a convertible. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question for Dustin. I don't think so. That's not the plan. It was by necessity, not by desire. It was necessity for the power, so there wasn't really a need to do it. Now, there's always emissions requirements, so new emissions requirements can make us do things that we wouldn't necessarily need. So in the future, you might see more of that just due to emissions regulation changes. No, it wasn't due to something we found in the LT2 or the LT6 where we said, oh, we better make a change. It had there was nothing like that. It was more fuel demand, and then just talk to Dustin if you want to find out more. Yep. One more time. Yeah, so dealers, I don't think they can take official orders yet. We haven't released any of that. I know there's lists. GM doesn't control any of that. Dealers have lists, and pick your favorite Corvette dealer, and get your name on a list. I can't tell you that officially because that's not official, but I know that's what happens. Yes. Yes. Okay. Question was when the C9 is coming out. So. It's a good question. All I know is that Zora was the godfather of the Corvette. That's all I know. So. Yeah, we're supposed to start it. So. I don't know if anybody wants to start it. All right. Thank you.